Hi. So this is Gema, or you can call me Gema in English. Gema is in Spanish, Gema in English, or gem. Actually, that's actually what my name means. It means gem, like a gemstone, um, or gems. That's another nickname people have used over the years for me. I don't know what you know. What you can call me whatever the fuck you want to call me, okay? Because um, that's not what this is all about anyway. But I'm coming on here to do uh, this next confession, this next entry for what I don't know, whatever it is that I've been doing for a couple of months now. I started on Facebook. I started tagging it with Chronicles by Confessions, and then with the hashtag Chronicles by Confessions, which I'll add to the bottom of this, whatever, which you can also search on Facebook to see other confessions, if you like, that I have been writing, putting out in writing. But anyhow, I am coming on here real quick, because I've actually been dealing with an issue that's personally challenging to me in various ways, and including physically. I've been dealing with some kind of nerve thing that shoots down my right arm, and it's like I'm doing exercises and gentle self massage, and um, yeah, and a lot of my mindfulness training comes in handy in dealing with pain when it suddenly feels like a fucking bolt of lightning is shooting down your right arm, or fire, and I try to work with my energy to help it flow, help it move, and doing a lot of self-healing techniques lately to work on this issue. But anyway, so I'll try to do this as quickly as possible if I can. But basically, I was watching recently one of a Helpful Earth's videos. Nathan, uh, young gentleman doing videos there on that YouTube channel, A Helpful Earth, and he recently did one regarding have we been visited by UFOs? And when I listened to it, I felt urged to comment that I had, I believe I've experienced an abduction, and in this lifetime, uh, at age 7, actually. And anyhow, Nathan commented that he would love to hear the story in video, and so I decided, hey, why not? I'll come on here. I'll tell the story right quick. I'll just spit it out, because I said I have to build the cojones for this. Uh, and I don't know. So to some people, it may not seem that way. Whatever. I don't know. For in my particular experience, this lifetime, um, there are there are a great deal of things that I have kept under wraps, hidden. A great deal of things. I mean, not just in terms of a lot of childhood trauma and abuse growing up, that of course family wants to keep under wraps because they don't want anybody else to know how fucked up the family is, but and whatnot, that sort of thing, of course. But I mean, even beyond that, how do I put this? I've had I've had many experiences this lifetime that for many, well, it might make your mind just melt, fucking melt. No, but I mean, it's not. I'm laughing, but it's nothing to laugh at. Although at some point you have to laugh, you know, and I've crossed that threshold long ago. so so that's why you see me laughing, and it's not that I don't uh, understand the significance of these events and sharing them. And I might as well tell the story of this experience of when I was 7, and I think I was abducted by a UFO. I know. I mean, and see, the funny thing is, it's like all the experiences I've had in this lifetime, and this lifetime alone, because yes, I've begun to recall several past lives, and some of them in detail. But as for this lifetime, this lifetime alone, I've experienced events and things that challenge the masses, quote unquote, understanding of reality. Okay. And so, you know, and so some of the things that I will talk about in my Chronicles by Confessions will be considered supernatural by many. And I'm past the point. You know, I've kept these things in the dark. I've kept these things hidden for years for many reasons. For fear. I mean, you know, and you can judge me. I mean, sure, you can sit there and judge me for coming forth about this. You can sit there and judge me for keeping it a secret as long as I did for all the years that I did. You could judge me for whatever you want to judge. I don't know. I'm just trying to do the best I can do with what I'm being called to do with a capital C at this point in time. And yes, even though watching Nathan's video on his channel, YouTube channel, A Helpful Earth, about, you know, have we been contacted by UFOs? Has this happened? Has this occurred? That spurred me to and urged me to, you know, prompted me to put that little comment, which is now prompting me to make this video, so thank you, Nathan. Thank you. Thank you, my soul brother. But anyhow, um, beyond that, you need to know that, yes, it's been a very challenging journey. And you can judge me for having fear, as I have had. But you know what? I'm pushing through it. I'm pushing through the fears. And I think that's more courageous, not to pat my own back, but you know, but yeah, to pat my own back and to pat the backs of all those doing the same thing. Okay, who I know many have come before me, you know, stepping forward and telling their stories, such as these, you know, that are, I don't know, automatically you've got potential future employers in the normie realm, and who then see your YouTube videos, and they're like, So I'm so used to being ridiculed or being thought of as a fucking nut for saying that I've experienced the things that I've experienced. That honestly, once again, I'm at some point I crossed that fuck it all threshold. And there's no going back. And so now it's a matter of me rising to each occasion that I'm being asked to rise to, with a capital R, and and answer this calling, and do the best I can in doing so each time. And so, with that in mind, I'm going to share the story of why I believe I may have been, quite likely, abducted by a UFO at age 7. Oh, there goes my shoulder again. See, interesting. But so let me just, here we go. Just give me, let me take a deep breath. How about that? Okay, so the story of oh man, and it's freaking hot in this apartment. I swear it's super hot. Okay, so I was 7 years old, and my mother and I had recently arrived in Spain. I was originally born in Spain, but when I was a few months old, my biological mother and father had gone to Australia, and it's hard to explain, and I'll make other videos. It's mentioned in some of those hashtag Chronicles by Confessions stories that I've written out of experiences in this lifetime. But anyhow, long story short, I had gone back to Australia, and when I was 7, my mother was a single mother with me, and as her child, and decided to go back to Spain because that's where her family was, her mother and father, and anyhow, so when we got to Spain, she had shipped a lot of her items, or of her things, via a ship, an actual boat. She had put it in a big trunk, like this, like a travel trunk, and whatnot. And I don't know, what the travel time is like now with something like that, with shipping cargo like that, but apparently it was quite a while from when we flew from Australia to Spain to when, like it was, I guess, a couple months or something. But I guess it would have been November of 1979 when, I'm not exactly sure what the day is, whatever, so I can't say for 1,000% sure, and I unfortunately don't have communication with my mother, so and even if I did, even that would be tough for many reasons, but to get the truth. But anyway, so when we were notified that the trunk had arrived at the port in Barcelona, in America, most people would say Barcelona, but I'm originally from Spain, from Madrid, from the central region, where yes, I know a lot of people think, like, people either think it's endearing or like goofy as shit for me to say Barcelona, that whole thing. But anyway, that's how I speak, okay? That's my Spanish. Barcelona. Madrileña, hablo español como una madrileña. Barcelona. Okay, so anyway, so so we went to Barcelona from Madrid, which is about I don't know, I guess it's like about an 8 or 9 hour drive, 7, 8, 9 hour drive, something like that. And it was myself, my single mother, her, my maternal grandfather and grandmother, who drove out to Barcelona and to pick up the crate. And after driving all day and whatnot, and I was 7 years old, so I was a kid, so I don't know. I guess it was tough for the adults. I don't know. So I don't recall much details about the trip there. Nothing eventful on the way there happened. But when we arrived, we went to the port and to claim the trunk. And we claimed the trunk, and then it was decided that the family would get a big hotel room and stay in Barcelona the night before, and get rest before taking off back to Madrid, hauling the trunk for the next another 7, 8, 9 hour drive. So we got a hotel room, and that night, now some details are hazy for me, so bear with me, but I know that we were high up. It was a high-rise building. It wasn't, we weren't close to the ground, but I was little. I was 7, and I'm not exactly sure how high up from the ground we were, but what story our room was at. But that night, after all the adults had gotten tired and crashed for the evening, are you fucking kidding me? I was, I was 7 years old. I was in a new country, in a new city that was like, if you don't know anything about Barcelona is so beautiful. The architecture, you've got, you've got, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name, but anyway, you've got that incredible architecture, and you've got, beautiful scenic views of the ocean and of mountains, and anyhow, so I digress. But at the hotel room, I was wide awake, and all the adults were passed out, and there was nothing I could do. I couldn't really leave the room and go wandering off. Like, I knew that was not okay, not a good thing to do. So I went out to the balcony, and I sat on the balcony, and I remember looking up at the sky and just playing. I was playing with something. I don't remember exactly what I had in my hands, but I was just chilling out there playing, and then that's when all of a sudden this freaking huge, I'm not talking like some people say they see a dot in the sky or some shit like that. No. This was fucking huge. It was. I'm just telling you, when I gotta give up on trying to second guess myself and wonder what people think as I say the things that I say, and just tell the story. That's what the fuck I need to do. Anyway, so there was this huge freaking circular light that came on above a large area over where the hotel, and it encompassed half a block, the diameter of the circle. It encompassed about a half a block, as it lit up, right, and it wasn't that high up above. It wasn't that close to all the buildings in the city and everything, but it wasn't that high up above either. And it just appeared. It's not like it hovered down to that spot and paused and stopped. No, it just all of a sudden appeared. It was just there all of a sudden. And now this light all of a sudden, it was already a light, a circular light, but all of a sudden it lit up even brighter, like more brightly, like you know, like, I mean, I can't even describe, but like, it lit up, you know, in a way that you might think might make you blind, except it didn't hurt. There was no pain associated with it, okay? But it's kind of like with the way they warn you to, you know, do not look directly at the sun because it can damage your rods and cones and your eyeballs and all that kind of thing. Well, it was like it was as if it was that bright, except it didn't hurt. There was no pain with that came with it, right? So the next, and I was like, I mean, my jaw just like dropped, and I was just stupefied. I was petrified, but except I wasn't scared. Okay, I do want to make it a point to mention that I wasn't scared. Okay, I wasn't feel. I was just sitting there like I could not move. It was like, you know, can't look away. Okay, and the next thing that occurred was that all of a sudden the light flooded down like a beam, like a huge. It was like a as wide as a huge tornado might be, okay? Except it was a beam of light, one like big beam of light, and it came down over like the whole area, and um, the next thing that occurred was that silent sound. Um, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a sound that it it resonates deeply. It's thunderous in its vibrational frequency. It's like deeply thunderous, but at the same time, it's silent. You can't audibly hear it with human ears. Like, I, I can't describe it any other way. And you know what? Here's the interesting thing is that over the years, I have, you know, researched also UFO abductions and UFO sightings and reports and things like this of this nature. And I've even connected with some people who have also said they've had similar experiences. Not very many, but there's one, and I don't want to reveal her name because I haven't had a chance to talk to her and see if she wants me to name her. So, but that was something we shared in common, that is she about the light and also the beam, and also the silent thunderously loud silent sound. And she even, in her case, is she was abducted with her boyfriend, and they were like already young adults. Okay, I was 7 years old. I was a kid, but yeah, they were already young adults. So they were like in their 20s or their late teens or something. I can't remember what she had told me specifically, but they were young, and she was with her boyfriend, and they whenever their anniversary of that experience, that abduction that they shared came up over the years, they would send each other letters and cards, and she took pictures of the cards and sent them to me to show me that that was something that they kept repeating to each other in the messages about this, about the silent sound, about the loud silent sound. Okay, so this is something that I mean, you know, enough said. Okay, so anyhow, right after that loud silent sound, uh, everything just kind of goes dark for me. Like I don't have any. I don't have any memories. I don't have any memories further after that. I don't know like what happened other than um, the next thing I know, I was waking up, and that's kind of hazy. But I was waking up in the room, in the hotel room, um, again when the adults or someone woke me up or something. I barely, I really, it's hard, it's real hazy and really hard to access that memory of coming back or what, how, or waking up or whatever. And then here's the thing though, is that as my family piled out and got ready to head back to Madrid, um, to drive back from Barcelona, we got in the car and my grandfather stopped at a gas station to fill up before heading out. And as he was filling up, I was sitting in the back seat and I had the window rolled down, I remember, and I was like listening, and there were adults in the gas station, um, uh, talking about like they all like I'm talking about like they were like I can't remember, but there were quite a few adults, there were like 5 6 adults that were standing around there, talking about having seen this thing the night before. Okay, they were talking about it in the gas station, and I was well, you can imagine what I might have been. Anyhow, um, we continued on our journey, went back to Madrid, and so forth and so on, and the rest of my life unfolded, blah, blah, blah. Now, here's the thing. That occurred when I was 7, and my mother and I had come back from Australia to Spain, before I came to the United States, at age 11. But yeah, I was 7 at this time. It was November of 1979 in Barcelona, Spain, like I said. Um, and it's I find it peculiar to this day that um, it was shortly after my first near-death experience I had at age 6 in Sydney, Australia, which I've already made a video about on on the YouTube channel, Mind, Body, Soul Evolution TV. But I find it very peculiar, the timing of it, don't you think? So it gives me pause to think a lot. But also, I also want to mention, I want to talk about William Henry. William Henry, who has been the voice producer, largely the voice and direction of that show Ancient Aliens, and he's done a lot of research. Of course, he's very knowledgeable about a lot of these things. He recently put out a book. Um, and it's about achieving rainbow body and the technology of human transcendence, and how we are currently on the verge of facing some decisions as to how we are going to seek to align with our divinity, our innate divinity. Are we going to try to do it through technology, through, like I guess, like, the pop a pill solution, and everything just will get magically worked out? No. Um, just like a, a beautiful garden that bears beautiful fruits and vegetables needs to be tended to and cared for, and bears better fruit and veggies when it's loved. In the same way, we can create something beautiful on this earth, by aligning with our divinity through our hearts, by doing the work of doing that, of connecting to our hearts and staying connected. But anyhow, um, in his latest book, he talks about this, about how humanity is kind of seeking the easy way out, the pop a pill solution by achieving a godhood state, a Buddhahood state, or the great perfection, or the rainbow body, or you know, the diamond body, or light body. It's called many names. The resurrection body, biblically, it's referred to as. The Merkaba is referred to as by the ancient Hebrews. You know, but ignite it and align it with our own divinity, which is, you know, how we can be closest to Goddess, God, and our own divinity, you know, like reside within our own divinity by connecting to our heart. And that requires intent and directed intent and will, focused will and intent. So, and decisions. It requires that you decide, you know, and hopefully make the best decisions. But anyhow, so in his book, William Henry does mention something about that those who are called, those members of humanity who at this time during this great shift are called to achieve this rainbow body or great perfection or whatever, may have experienced UFO abduction. And he specifically mentions the Greys in his book, because I emailed him when I heard about this book that he wrote. I was like, oh man, I really need to read this literature and this research that you're talking about. I need to, I'd like to, you know, so I emailed him, and he was gracious enough. Thank you very much, William Henry, for emailing me a copy of the book. I appreciate it. By the way, I'm going to get back to you too about that, but I read it within the first 2 days. That was months ago that you sent it to me, but I read it within the first 2 days, and I was taken aback by some of the things that you mentioned regarding those of us who are being called to achieve rainbow body in this lifetime at this particular time. In a sense, that is one of the ways in which we are being called to assist in this planetary shift that Earth and her inhabitants are going through at this time. But see, so, and the fact that he mentions that the Greys may abduct those of us who are on this following this path of this, you know, warrior of the light, so to speak, and achieve divine union with our own, within our own, you know, beings. And I think about this experience, and I don't know, maybe he's right, maybe William Henry's right, maybe, but the thing is, because it's in his book. I'm sorry, I didn't say. In his book, he says that there's a chance that that the Greys are abducting those of us who are called to do this, and putting implants in us that prevent us then from achieving our mission, from achieving this rainbow body, diamond body of light, you know, resurrection body, whatever you want to call it, blah, blah, blah. And I understand what he says in his book, and it really, like I said, it took me aback, and it gave me a lot of pause, a lot of food for thought, and a lot to think on and chew on. However, I've prayed about this, I've meditated about this, I have reached out to Goddess and the divine, and asked about whether this was the case in my situation with my quote unquote abduction in 1979 or not. Do I in fact have some sort of implant that's going to prevent me from achieving my life's mission? And you know, I don't think so. I don't get any sort of any adverse feeling from that experience. I don't get any sort of sense of fear, or if anything, that experience almost felt like, well, yes, invasive in a way, but very, like, I have the feelings I have underlying that experience are all positive and gentle and warm and like loving. And I mean, unless maybe they shot me up after they abducted me, they shot me up with something to make me feel this way. But hey, either, you know what? I'll tell you what. Ultimately, none of that matters, because the what bottom line is that I feel this calling, and I know that that's part of my life mission this lifetime, and that's one of the ways that I'll be doing my best to assist in the best way I can, no matter what, no matter how. I'll be connected to my heart, and I'll be every day doing what I can to make sure I'm divinely aligned, and I'm answering this calling in the best way I can. And so, you know what I have faith in? I have faith in God as, and I know that ultimately it will be Goddess's will. So, and I'll do my best to help in the best way I can, and Goddess knows that too. So, anyhow, that's it for this video. That's been long enough, and I've shared as much as I can on this. And if you have questions, or you want to talk about it, or you want to reach out to me, have a conversation, or maybe you've had an experience, or you want to share, or I don't know, or you have questions about my experience that I shared, feel free to reach out to me. Once again, my name is, in Spanish, is pronounced Gema. In English is Gema, or Gem, or nickname Gems. So, but please feel free to reach out to me here on my channel, Mind, Body, Soul Evolution TV, or on my Facebook, which I'll include a link also as well, if you want to connect with me there and read the written hashtag Chronicles by Confessions that I've been doing for a while now, about some of these mystical and otherwise synchronistic and mind-blowing experiences that have been long overdue for me to share, and I'm doing my best right now to do so. So much love from my heart with a capital H. As always. Mwah.